9% of the city's recycling goes through recycling centers. This was presented to the Board of Supervisors last week by the Department of the Environment. The Department of the Environment doesn't believe we're going to get to zero waste without recycling centers. They believe we need more recycling centers. And the rationale for this place to be located here always was that recycling performs a public service. Recycling is hard to locate. It's okay to have a public service that is hard to locate as a non-conforming use in the park. Look it up. It's in the county general plan. That's why the master plan language, the Golden Gate Park master plan language, is so convoluted.
Non-conforming use.
A non-conforming use that performs a public service that you cannot locate elsewhere is okay to locate in the park.
But they offered to locate you elsewhere.
Not to serve this neighborhood.
Yeah.
We were looking at.
Doesn't want to be served, and the people.
Where are you getting
from
that?
The neighborhood groups, and the people that own this land don't want you.
People over here who garden, that live in Parkview Commons. We've got people who live up the street that garden
it's
and
a
use
wonderful
recycling.
fantasy. You don't have a lease. The park doesn't want you here. The city doesn't want you here. I understand the idea of the garden.
The average person on the street, if you ask them, when you close down the recycling center, is it going to stop people from camping? Is it going to change the security situation on the east end of the park? They laugh at that notion. Okay, and so that's part of why I think that I don't want to say the judges were nonsensical, but why we disagree with that decision.
Well, when you look at the 990, you look at the amount, $670,000 over 1 year. That's a lot of money. Now, I get that the expenses are whatever they are, $617,000, but even at that.
Well, remember,
you're not getting that from the garden. You're getting that from the resale.
Oh yeah, I mean the native plant nursery. We started the garden first. Greg started the garden on his own because he was interested in native plants.
What year was that?
In the late 90s. It's hard to put down a year because we get reimbursed the redemption value that we paid to the public, and so that's the pass-through, and it plus a scrap value and perhaps a processing fee, and that is what goes to pay the bills at our recycling center and any recycling center in the state.
But that sounds reasonable. The $670,000 sounds reasonable. It's just a question of where the expenses come from. That amount of money goes through. It's just a question of.
Like I said, I mean, if you've got specific questions, we should sit down in the office, go over the financial statements. I don't know if that's within the scope of what you want to do right now, but I'd be happy.
I just mean it's that's a lot of money. Is all people. A big chunk of money. Is all I'm saying. $429,000 for salaries and benefits.
Well, I mean the average wage is probably $13, $14 an hour plus the health care, which probably averages about $1,000 a person. Willie Brown, 5 years after curbside was implemented, and that was the big argument, is that you don't need it because you have curbside. Ask Recology. Recology supports this place. They really do. They provided all the dirt. It came from the Green Bin program. Recology is a big supporter of Hank recycling centers. But Willie Brown, in his wisdom, in 1996, gave the place a 5-year lease. You have to admit, it looks awfully cynical for them to.
Oh yeah, seriously. Come on.
We're the fiscal.
All of a sudden, now you're a garden.
Every check that was written for the Civic Center Victory Garden has our name on it, Chuck. Tell me about cynicism. The Civic Center Victory Garden, we were the fiscal agent for that. All right. Every check that was written, it was an $80,000 or $100,000 project, had Hank's name on it. The Garden for the Environment, Hayes Valley Farm, the nursery. Come on. And then you come at us with a community garden to replace essentially an organization that's all about community gardens. That's cynicism, Chuck.
Hummingbirds so small on a cloth in a box, rescued from inside the library down the block. Hummingbird so small, looks like just part of a bird. Long and slender beak opens without saying a word. Fly, fly away, hummingbird, back to your green budding world. Fly, fly away. hummingbird so tiny, like a green and shining jewel, brought into my life by the one I love, that's you. Opens up my heart and puts inside a drop of